Hi, my name is Obi Alozer, and I did my research project on the Sahara Desert ecosystem. The Sahara Desert is home to a body of organisms that all interact with each other. Organisms are sorted into 5 different trophic levels: decomposers, producers, primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Energy flows through each trophic level, starting from the producers and ending at the tertiary consumers. But the decomposers recycle energy from the top to the bottom trophic level. Abiotic factors regulate and support the Sahara Desert ecosystem, and the Sahara Desert has a very hot and dry climate, receiving only 10 inches of rain per year on average. The Sahara also has a moderate amount of biodiversity. Here's a food web of the Sahara Desert ecosystem. I'm not going to explain every single organism, but what you need to know is that the arrows represent the transfer of energy, and that the red-tailed hawk is a very important species to the Sahara Desert ecosystem. I'll be talking about that later. Producers, they are adapted to the harsh Sahara climate. For example, cactuses, they store water inside their thick leaves and thick stems. They also have deep roots that can sometimes reach down all the way to the water table. They have mutualistic relationships with the organisms that consume its fruits. Those organisms subsequently sow its seeds, which allows the cactus to reproduce. All producers are autotrophs and use photosynthesis to make energy, and they support the whole ecosystem. And there will always be a larger amount of producers than consumers in a healthy ecosystem. And producers rely on abiotic factors like sunlight and water. Primary consumers are mainly small herbivores and omnivores. They acquire energy directly from producers. 10% of the producer's energy is available to them, and as you see at the bottom left of this page, there's an energy pyramid of an ecosystem in the ocean, where it shows that 10,000 freshwater shrimp can support one osprey, and that is applicable to many other ecosystems, including the Sahara Desert, where it takes a lot of cactus to support the top tertiary consumers, such as a mountain lion or a red-tailed hawk. Primary consumers have fixed action patterns, such as when a kangaroo rat sees a red-tailed hawk, it will hide. Prey defenses include camouflage and poisonous stings. The poisonous stings are used by harvester ants, and the camouflage is used by the small mammals. Primary consumers mainly rely on biotic factors such as competition, and they are heterotrophs and must consume others for nourishment. So the climate of the Sahara Desert is very hot because where it is relative to the sun. The Earth is tilted toward the sun, and the Sahara gets more direct sunlight than almost any other ecosystem on the planet. As a result, there is not as much species diversity in the Sahara as opposed to the tropical rainforest, because the rainforest has the environment that can support a lot of biomass, whereas the Sahara does not. And the amount of producers is what determines the amount of diversity in your ecosystem. Secondary consumers get their energy from a secondary source, the middleman, which is the primary consumer. There are fewer secondary consumers than primary consumers, following that pyramid idea. The species operate in different niche spaces, such as horned lizards and horned vipers. They are both reptiles, but they have different diets, reducing interspecies competition and allowing both species to live in the same environment. They are mainly case strategists. All secondary consumers are heterotrophs. The horned lizard is an omnivore, and both organisms in the secondary trophic level are reptiles. Looking at my food web, I would consider the horned lizard a very important organism to Sahara because it does receive energy and it does consume a lot of the organisms on my food web. The tertiary consumers, which is the top trophic level, are heterotrophs. They are carnivores. The red-tailed hawk has the most diverse diet out of every organism in the ecosystem, and it is a keystone species. Keystone species, the Sahara, without the keystone species, the Sahara ecosystem will collapse, because the keystone species regulates the population for many, many other species, and it maintains balance in the ecosystem. Mountain lions, which is also a tertiary consumers, do not travel in groups. like their cousins, the African lions, but they are territorial. Every organism uses methods of communication. Mountain lions excrete pheromones in their urine, indicating the borders of their claimed territory. The Sahara cannot support too many tertiary consumers, as I said, because it doesn't have the biomass to do so. They are mainly affected by the biotic factors in the ecosystem. The decomposers are the key trophic level to an ecosystem's success. I call it the transitional trophic level because it consumes tertiary consumers, but it's consumed by primary consumers. So it's kind of eerie where it should be placed on the line of trophic levels. It serves as an extra energy boost for the primary consumers because it's something else other than producers that they can eat. The decomposers of the Sahara are all insects, and they are all detrivores, meaning they consume detritus or waste and remains. They break down detritus into usable organic chemicals that plants use to grow. They play a role in the phosphorus cycle. They are mainly R strategists with short lifespans, and I call them the recycling plant for the Sahara Desert ecosystem. So in conclusion, the inner workings of the Sahara Desert is very fascinating. Energy flows through producers to tertiary consumers and recycled by decomposers, and abiotic factors such as sunlight and water support the producers who support the whole ecosystem. Biotic factors such as competition regulates the populations of species and is essential to balance in an ecosystem. Finally, the Sahara Desert's climate is hot because of the Sahara position relative to the sun. That concludes my presentation. Here are the citations on the link below, and I will attach my presentation to this video. Thank you.